This episode is brought to you by the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company.
This episode is also brought to you by Facebook arguments with your relatives just as the holidays are around the corner. This is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go. Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait, a weight loss podcast for regular people, by regular people. I am your host, Seth.
And I am your host, Strawberry.
This is the latest we've ever recorded to an episode coming out.
I gotta say, it really brings me back to my days of high school of doing the project right before it's due.
Yeah, but this almost
feels good knowing that I'm not the one who has to edit this shit.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I honestly kind of like coming in under the gun because then it says current. You know what I mean? It's almost like, granted, we record on Fridays, it comes out on Wednesdays. Like, there's no big gap of like, oh man, we missed.
Yeah, what big news happened today?
Yeah, so for me, it's not that. But
I actually have some breaking foods for you.
Whoa, you have a breaking foods? Okay.
I do. So I don't have the article on hand, but you can trust me. I read it in a newspaper, so it's definitely not fake news.
Okay.
A guy died from eating licorice.
Yes.
Like black licorice. And I kind of knew somebody who eats black licorice as a wild card who doesn't have much time left in this world for other reasons.
Yeah.
But, like, did you know that shit was poisonous?
No, and it's so funny because we found out about this story together, and I had no idea you were going to use it on this episode yet. I thought we were going to, I don't know. This is because it is breaking, because it is just as surprising to me to hear now. But we got thrown this article from my mother.
Of all people,
Of all people. And this dude ate nothing but black licorice for 2 weeks.
I guess it's like
2 weeks.
That's like the worst version of the Jared from Subway diet.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boo. Oh, man. Dude, but just the idea of eating black licorice for 2 straight weeks is already, you might as well be dead anyway.
Yeah, man. I mean, what goes through someone's mind when you, honestly, it's not even like eating that much black licorice. What goes through your mind when you voluntarily choose to eat black licorice in the first place?
Right.
Because that's where you lose me.
I get on people all the time about Twizzlers, and if you're putting the two in front of me, I am housing a bag of Twizzlers before I'm even touching black licorice.
I mean, here's the thing. For me, Twizzlers is something that, and maybe this is because it was one of those foods that my mom always hid from me, so it was the game. Red Twizzlers, I get it. You know, they're not the best thing. I wouldn't go out of my way and choose to buy a pack of Twizzlers.
Right.
But if they're there, they're fine. Black licorice, you would probably have to pay me money, good money, to eat it. Yeah,
there's no feasible scenario that I see where I'm like, you know what I could go for right now? Some black licorice. That doesn't resonate with me. But I mean, obviously, it's very sad that this dude died.
Yes.
Obviously.
I just feel like it shouldn't have to be said. But guys, folks, if you're out there, if you're listening, you're taking your advice from us, don't eat black licorice.
I was almost just about to say, don't eat anything that's the same for 2 straight weeks, as I'm coming off of drinking shakes every day for 8 straight months.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is just the black licorice.
Yeah.
The fact that it exists is the real problem, but
I agree. I don't like it. But hey, how was your week?
It's actually a pretty big week for me.
Big week?
Big week.
Do we have a big announcement coming here?
We do have a big announcement.
Holy shitballs, what do you got for me?
I am now officially at 101.2 pounds lost.
Woo! And just hold on. Do I have a? Oh, nope. On our soundboard, I thought I was about to break out an applause thing, but you know what? Just a slow clap.
Slow clap. Yeah, we got to build that up though.
Could you imagine just everyone in our apartment building somehow is hearing this, and you just hear a slow clap that erupts the building? That is awesome. 101. Your first time ever hitting this kind of triple digit milestone, correct?
I mean, yeah, it was my first time hitting a 50-pound milestone. So yeah, this is my first time on this side of things.
Just for anybody who's just joining the show now, but this is huge. This is what did it feel like when you first got on the scale and you were like, oh shit?
It's kind of funny because I've been looking at the number being within 5 for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
So I've already been mentally rounding myself up, and still just seeing it below 214 pounds.
Right.
Was just like, oh,
That's
like,
wild.
Yeah, it feels surreal, but at the same time, it makes me just wonder, like, why the fuck did it take that long?
Yeah, and I think it's easy.
Not like this year, but just like in my life.
I know what you're saying, and I think that that's a common thought for anyone who has had weight loss success. Of like, because I definitely had it my first time around, and it really messed me up a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was just like, well, how much time have I wasted?
Yeah.
Like, how much time that I can't get back? And so somehow I like put it into my head that I was like, well, we're making up for lost time, when like that should never be the focus.
Yeah.
But like, it definitely is one of those things where I think everybody thinks about like, man, now that I'm here, why didn't I do it sooner? But all that matters is that you're here.
I guess I kind of even it out by thinking that, like, you know what? It's not that I had lost time. It's that now I've found time, because I've probably, like, just by
Extended
losing
your
100
life.
pounds. Yeah, I probably extended my life by like a good 5 to 10 years.
And those
maybe.
are those are some golden years up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once I'm able to like retire and throw money around, wouldn't it really suck to like just retire and then it's it?
And then it's over. Ugh, yeah.
So how's your week been?
Well, I mean, man, this is going to kind of suck. Like, I'm so happy for your news too. Like that, like it sucks that we have to kind of be like, we're at a peak and then here comes the valley. Because that's the thing. I mean, if we're going to talk about the good, we got to talk about the bad. This was a shitty week. It was a terrible week.
Are you talking about like professionally, personally?
Everything.
Okay.
Literally everything. Like, let's be honest. This was, and like, I'm glad like I can laugh about it. I mean, like, it's good for us to laugh about it, but I mean, up 2 pounds this week. This is the first week I've gained like weight, obviously since like pre-program. And it's funny because the actual process of gaining weight isn't what bothered me.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I know everything that went into my body. I'm on week 4 of this transition, and like the way
so you're still following like the letter of like a
of a
prescribed
template
plan.
or a sheet, and like my activity level is upped, and so I have to understand. And you sort of sometimes have to just surrender to like, you know what, this is what your body's doing right now. Like,
right.
It's not some cosmic force that's like, hey Seth, you know what, go, you beefed it, and we're gonna take it out on you. But that was rough. I mean, this was the first week that I had reintroduced carbs. Right. And like
revenge of the carbs.
Right. And for something that I was super jazzed about, just to have like a delivery system of which to eat turkey and carrots and sugar snap peas, like to have something of that nature. Sunday night, first wrap, I eat it. It's fine. I slept for 15 actual minutes.
Like that night?
That night. I honestly almost woke up in the middle of the night and almost woke you up to call an ambulance.
Really?
I was in the worst pain that I have been in physically, like in the past couple of years. It was writhing.
Well, not to like spoil anything, but I thought, I'm surprised that you're saying that about, what was that, Sunday night?
Yeah.
Because I know that like Wednesday you came home and you were like, at least I knew then that you were like, oh,
Yep.
He's in pain.
Let's segue into Wednesday. Oh, wait. So then, like, so that was the thing.
Or am I skipping a couple of days that are important here?
So Sunday it happens, and then I wake up Monday. I still go to Planet Fitness. After I'm walking, I'm feeling normal. I'm feeling normal again.
Okay.
I wasn't feeling fine when I went to Planet Fitness, but I was like, it's not going to get any better laying in bed like you have been.
True.
So I walked. I felt normal. The day got better. Monday night comes. I do it again. Totally fine. Tuesday comes. Totally fine. Wednesday, like, oh man, dude. Honestly, I was just about to let out a big curse word, but I'm keeping my mother in mind. You know, I'm trying to be more cognizant of it. Yeah. I love you, Mom. But that was
fucking sucks.
But that was the thing. And I just sat there being like, man, like I had to cut my therapy appointment short.
Because you were just in so much pain?
Yeah, and thankfully he was really understanding about it. He was just like, yeah, you're in pain. Like, get out of here. Like,
stop trying to talk to me and go home.
Yeah, and like, so that really kind of got it through my head. But I came home Wednesday night was just rough. And then the rest of the week, just I never found I was not comfortable one day this week or weekend.
Just with like your digestion?
Just with anything. Like, because then of course, like I'm getting it into my head of like, is it going to be like this every time I reintroduce something new? And it might be. And I can't let that set me completely back. But like to go through the pain of it and then to get on the scale and then to see +2, I was like, man, I could have easily seen if I ate everything that I want and completely enjoyed myself, and then I saw a +2.
Right. It's just like the insult to the injury.
Yeah, it's almost just like, here's a punch in the face, but while you're putting some ice on your face, here's a kick to the nuts. And that's how it felt.
How like you said that you're kind of concerned, is this going to happen every time you reintroduce things? How many more phases of reintroducing things do you have left before you've reintroduced it all?
Like almost everything is in play except for like fats and oils, which like whoopee, can't wait for that. But like I'm really not going to rush on that. And I know that this is something that can be modified as we go. Like it doesn't have to be exactly to the paper. I know that. But it's just like I'd be a liar to sit here and say that every time I go to reach for something, I'm not at least have a little bit of the yips. And the last thing that I want to develop is a fear of food.
Right. That's like the whole
right. Whereas before I made it my best friend, my girlfriend, like I made food every loving source in my life.
It was your soulmate.
Right. And now I don't want to be so terrified of it. So like that's something that I have to balance and something that I kind of have to figure out as I go. Am I going to do it? You're goddamn right I am. But like it's just a matter of like I feel like garbage. I do, like, and I can't sit here and be like, yeah, everything's great, because it's not. But that's not how this goes.
I'm sorry you had a rough week, though.
Yeah, like that's the thing is that like of course, like we've talked about it a little bit even off the mics, but like it just kind of is what it is. Like I couldn't sit here and say that every week was going to be super jazzy, fun, sunshine, rainbow party. Like this is part of the process. Part of the process is having shitty weeks. And I think that you have to have shitty weeks in order to understand that.
Just because things went bad doesn't mean you throw it all away and go back.
Right, exactly. And also it doesn't mean like it's going to be like that forever. But, so like this week is all about just getting back up on the horse. But
so I got to kind of figure out, I want to know what's the best way to execute this craving of the week.
Ooh.
Craving of the week.
I liked that. That was a silky smooth transition.
Thanks.
I really liked that. So, folks, we are back with another craving of the week. And, I mean, honestly, I've had this craving in my head for a bit. So, would you mind if I led this off?
Oh, please. Go for it.
So, of course, like, fittingly, like, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you where, like, a certain food is giving you pain or a certain food group has given you pain, but somehow in your mind, you still want something directly related to that food group, because that's where we're at here.
So I can't wait to see all the carbs here.
Right. So it is just very, very like carb centric okay, here's the thing. Last week we talked about the Hershey Kistel, correct? I don't know why my head is in this space of shoosting sports, okay? Of like sporting shot, if you will.
Okay.
Okay, but like, the machines that shoot like the clay discs, like pull.
Oh yeah.
And then you like the clay, I think they're called clay pigeons at some point, but I just see like a bunch of discs like getting fired. What I really kind of want is like the last time that I had chocolate chip pancakes, right? And it has just been so long. And
I was waiting for the first day that you talked about chocolate chip pancakes.
Because you know me. Right. You know my flow. Whenever we would go to a diner for camp, whenever we would go out to breakfast in any capacity whatsoever, chocolate chip pancakes were always on that table, no matter what. So essentially, I just want to sit there. This is a hybrid. Our cravings of the weeks are about evolution and fitting them into our new lifestyles, if you will. Correct?
Okay.
I want to earn these. I want to earn these pancakes. Okay. So I need you to stand at this machine. And I will stand in this open field, right? Pull! And then you are going to launch a disc of pancake, and I have to run, and I have to catch it.
Ooh, so it's almost like playing with a dog.
It is diet and exercise at its highest form.
I love that. It's like, oh.
Like rotated around, and then once I've caught 3 in a row, then we can set up a stationary spot where like we can figure out the trajectory of like you just pulling one, and it'll land right on a plate in front of me, and I will just have all my fixins right in front of me, and I'm just gonna nosh on some chalky chip pancake.
Okay, so you gotta indulge me. What kind of fixins are you looking for? Because this isn't just like, oh, I'm at the IHOP table. This is your entire imagination is on here.
Yeah, for me for sure, right? So in my days of glutton, right, chocolate chip pancakes were never enough.
Of course not.
It always needed to be like on top of it. On top of it, I would, if it was possible, I would always get Reese's Cups on top of my pancakes.
Oh, you're so much better than me. I was thinking ice cream.
Yeah, no. Like for me, it was like Reese's Cups. You get that melty Reese like right on your pancake. But then for me, you always got to get that side of bacon and sausage to kind of just tuck them into bed. You're just tucking them into bed, you know? And then like you get that mystery bite and you're like, what's that, sausage? And you are just the joy that comes over you when you have tucked away some sausage and some bacon right into your pancake. It is so good, and just that sweet, that savory. Douse me with some syrup. You know I'm having about like half a stick of butter on that.
Man, I have high cholesterol just listening to
Exactly. And so,
which is why I know it's awesome.
but that's why this craving is so great, because I've earned it. I've been running around this field like a jackass, just getting pancakes fired at my face.
Do you think 3 in a row is enough?
I think 3 in a row is enough to earn the seat. Okay. It's to earn the seat. But I would probably, just for the love of the game, probably keep running around and keep trying to catch some. You know, and maybe the way that this game plays is that for each one that like I successfully catch like on my face, I don't eat that whole thing, right? You're just like earning your bonus pancakes for when you earn your seat. And if I don't earn that seat,
okay, so you're not eating while you go.
No, I don't want to do that, because
okay, thank you for clarifying, because I was a little like, I don't think that this is as working it off as you think it is if you're
no.
eating it when you catch it
I want to earn
in.
the pancake.
Good.
Like, and that's the balance. So that's where I'm at this week. But what about you? What are you craving?
So I wrote down 4 words here for my craving of the week.
4 words.
It's really not going to be that complicated. And then I just added 2 right before we started recording.
Are you about to play charades in audio res? First word.
No, but actually, now that you say it like
no, please don't. Hit me.
Chicken fried steak chowder.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, hachi machi.
Should I leave it there, or should I throw in my other 2 words?
Oh my God, I'm already blown away, but please give me the other 2.
Hash browns.
Oh man, is that a haiku?
I think I need a few more syllables to make it really work.
Oh, that's real. Holy crap. Walk me through this, because how has this not been done yet?
So, right. First of all, I Googled because I wanted to know the name of like the gravy, like if it had like a special name, like some sort of.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it does.
Blank's
It does have
gravy.
a distinct name.
I couldn't find it.
Sawmill gravy.
Sawmill gravy. Okay, when I Googled it, the top result was an ad for weight loss. So
it's like, yeah, we know who you are.
yeah, I was like, to be fair, I mean, I don't really need that advertisement
targeted
anymore.
ads.
But yeah, so I want you to imagine like a nice hot bowl of New England clam chowder.
Okay, hit me.
You go in to eat it, you grab your big spoon, you put it in the chowder, and then
Are you trying to do a Boston? You sound like a guy from Queens.
I park the car and have it yard.
Yeah, okay, that's the line. So
All
you
right.
go in and you're digging into your chowder.
And then all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, this isn't clam chowder.
That ain't no chowder.
This is sawmill gravy.
Sawmill gravy.
And you pick up one of the little chunks and you're like, this isn't a clam. This is country fried steak.
I love that.
Country fried steak is legitimately the most delicious breakfast
That was
food
meant
that you could ever have.
that was meant to kill people.
Yeah.
It was literally the only way that it was made was with somebody thinking this is going to be the one that does them in.
It's the black licorice of breakfast
Yes,
foods.
it absolutely is. 2 weeks of country fried steak.
I will say right now that I could never eat country fried steak in the quantity that I have eaten it in the past anymore.
Yeah, no chance.
Those days are behind me. But we've had quite a few chicken fried steaks in our time.
We were connoisseurs.
And I just want a soup version of it so that I can constantly refill it with the gravy.
Yeah,
Because
I
there's
love
nothing
this.
worse than when you get low on gravy, even though they give you a whole huge tub of it. But then you're like, oh my God, I slathered so much gravy onto this ginormous hunk of meat that I have to now ask the waitress to bring me more.
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
fat
No,
asshole.
Now, I don't want a Kool-Aid man you're craving.
Okay.
I don't want to bust through the swamp. Go, oh yeah, like I really don't want to do that.
Okay.
But if I could knock and you could open the door and let me in. Yep, it's me, Seth.
Oh, it's the middle of the night.
For the sake of the bit, can I come in?
Sure.
Okay.
Sir.
I'm in your craving now. Now, would you be open to adding, you know how like with every chowder, what comes on the side?
Oh, you always got a little couple of saltines.
Yeah, some oyster crackers, if you will. Okay,
Mm.
so what I'm thinking is like we devise our own oyster crackers, but they're not crackers. It is actual biscuits. Like we cut those biscuits into pieces, and like instead of topping your chowder with oyster crackers, you're topping it with biscuit pieces.
Or and maybe here's where we'll return to our roots a little bit of hyperbole.
Okay.
But instead of turning biscuits into oyster crackers, what if we just scale up the size of this meal so that a big biscuit
Yeah, I
is
think
the
I know where you're
oyster
going.
cracker?
Yes.
And so instead
So
of
you're
just
gonna-
getting one slab of chicken fried steak in this, I guess now it's an Olympic-sized swimming pool
Right,
of
yeah,
chowder
yes.
of sawmill gravy. But now instead of just like one slab of meat, we're just going to throw the whole cow in.
I love
Fry it
this.
up.
Yep.
Throw the whole cow in.
Why not? Hell yeah. So, hey, I really like that.
Thank you.
That was really, really good. So, folks, if you want to send your craving of the week in, SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com. But we're gonna go back. We're gonna get a little rowdy. We're gonna get a little sexy. Ooh, yikes. But you know what it's time for?
Sensual Eating.
Just giving a little clap up. Just giving a little shout out to Josh in Pennsylvania for that incredible, sultry, smooth intro.
Pretty soon, it's going to be Sorry for the Wait with Seth and Strawberry
And Josh
from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, exactly. So, Josh, I know you're listening out there every week. We really appreciate you making some dope music for us always.
Man, there's nothing like getting a theme song written for you, but there's really nothing like getting two theme songs
Right,
written
like
for
getting
you.
segment songs. Like we're gonna have to create an EP and have Josh like record all of these in a studio. Right, exactly. Yep, you're nailing it. So we're going back to Sensual Eating, and Sensual Eating is become a rising favorite. We've been getting a lot of messages, a lot of texts,
It's
a
funny,
lot of
too.
uncomfortable conversations with our parents. Like, yeah, it's
It's funny, too, because when we had first, I think like early on, we had kind of done a little survey on social media about like, what are your favorite like segments? What are your
Right.
and I think that was our least favorite segment with one vote.
Right.
Of like, oh, I like this. It's in my top 3. And I think it's just because maybe I guess the first time we did it was just kind of shitty, but
yeah, I know.
we've turned it
Maybe
around.
We're improving. so last time we did Sensual Eating, you came at me with emojis.
Yes.
You know, and so I'm now I don't know if you're gonna zig or if you're gonna zag.
I'm gonna zag.
You're gonna zag today?
Yeah, I'm still gonna give out like I'm not gonna just talk about one food right now because I kind of have a category to entertain.
Okay, absolutely. Hit me with it.
What is the grossest food that you could lick off someone in the boudoir?
Ooh. Oh man.
I want you to give me an answer before I tell you the couple that I have written down here. Just gut instinct. 3, 2, 1. Hershey Kistel to your head. Go.
anchovies.
Ooh, okay. That's totally fair. I'll give you that one. So
Yeah. Okay, so what are you thinking? What You're just talking about the concept of licking food off of somebody.
right, and like what and my top pick for this is gonna be mayonnaise.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
There's a little bit of
Yes.
mayo. I feel like it sounds grosser when you say the full name, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm calling it mayonnaise here instead of
Yeah.
just mayo.
Yeah, just slapping.
I feel like Miracle Whip is like definitely nowhere near as
it's not as gross,
gross.
but it arrives at the same station nonetheless.
I think just like hearing Miracle Whip doesn't sound as gross as hearing mayonnaise. So
Yeah,
that's what really
I agree
settles
with that.
that.
So you have more on this awesome list that I'm sure people are enjoying.
I do. This one I think is actually probably would be my least favorite.
Okay.
Vinegar.
Ooh,
'Cause-
I hate vinegar in general.
I hate vinegar in general too, but wouldn't it be terrible to be licking vinegar off of somebody's body and not knowing where the vinegar ends and the like sweat and BO begins?
Right. And then think of just like the after effects. Like someone's going to be like, did somebody just let a goddamn skunk move into this bedroom? Like that's what it'll smell like. The aroma sticks. I always think it's weird when people put vinegar on their French fries.
I think it's weird when people put vinegar on anything.
On anything?
Anything.
Yeah, anything.
I remember at camp they used to be like, "Oh, you could get as much balsamic vinegar as you want.
Yeah.
You don't need to just have
wow,
one dressing."
Thank you. Thank you very much, Miss Lippy. So what's the last one on your list?
Black licorice.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. But this is so funny. And folks, I swear this is not planned because your concept directly coincides with my wonder of sensual eating. This
Oh,
week.
yeah?
I went with whipped cream. Like,
Oh.
and so I went with whipped cream, and whipped cream has been like, that is a notorious
Yeah, that's like an
sensual eating.
Of course.
Yeah, people are always like, you want to spice things up? Get some whipped cream out.
And you know what? It's sweet, so I get it.
Right. And then there's like you've never seen this movie, but Varsity Blues, I'm going to go ahead and say that you never saw Varsity Blues.
I just know it's a sports movie,
right.
and like there are probably like 2 sports movies I've seen in my entire life.
There's a famous scene in that movie of the whipped cream bikini, like the whipped cream bikini, and it's just kind of like that classic like American Pie type of humor of like, whoa.
I think I've seen that in other
like,
movies, yeah.
Fellas, like it is just a classic.
Ooga.
Yeah, it's a classic meme, but I'm not sold on it, okay? I am.
No, you're a whipped cream doubter?
I am not sold on it, and I do know this from personal experience, but let's see if we get into that. So I'm thinking of the mess factor, okay? Just think, we have to look at every angle, right? We can't just look at this in a vacuum of like eating whipped cream off of somebody. Okay, because the ingredients are there, right? Whipped cream, good. We've established this.
Oh, of course.
Whipped cream.
There are very few situations where I wouldn't want to eat whipped cream.
2 thumbs up. Seth and Strawberry approved this message, okay? So that's fine. Having relations, hey, by all means, thumbs up.
Yeah.
You know, the ingredients involved. But think of the mess factor. Think of the dynamic. There is an awkwardness that is established when you have to hold a can of whipped cream in your hand at one time while in a bed or in an environment. Like, that can's cold. What if that presses up against your significant other and you're just like, Jesus? Like,
or if it like makes you cold and then there's shrinkage.
Right. Like what? Yeah, exactly. Like your focus isn't on the game, right? And the mess factor, okay? This is just so odd to me. Like, maybe this is just a challenge of gender dynamics, if you will. Like, let's tackle the hard issues, right?
Yeah, hard being the operative word here.
Absolutely. Pun absolutely intended. But like, the idea, the thought of somebody wanting to eat whipped cream off of me is one of the most that's repulsing to me. Like, I feel bad for you.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing.
For someone who always thinks that having a hair in your food is just an omen for a bad day, you're going to get up on this peach fuzz and get some of that whipped cream? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you're doing that kind of whipped cream off of somebody's body stuff, you got to be like clean shaven at the very least.
And we're not even thinking about the fact that like you're not using that for the entire duration of your coitus. Okay?
Right.
You're not. So therefore, what are you going to you're just going to put the can of whipped cream on the nightstand?
Oh no, it's going to get warm.
It's going to get warm. It's excuse me, honey. We just bought this. We just bought this can. Like, I don't want to like
just run out mid-sex.
Yeah, like we use
the
right, and it's like,
fridge.
Excuse me, while I run to the fridge to put back this can of whipped dairy, and then I will come back to making sweet love to you. Like, come on, man.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like once you're starting to bring food into the bedroom, you're definitely gonna have to wash those sheets after, no matter what.
Right, which is why it's just I think it causes more headaches than it does make a good story.
All right, counter argument here though.
Okay.
All right, because I've heard this go on for a little bit, and I'm totally with you with the body hair because that's really like my bugaboo with it.
Right.
But I don't know. It's sweet. It's fluffy. You get to give a little licky lick everywhere. And it's like because let's be honest, like you're licking someone's stomach, right? Like it's not like stomachs just taste good. Like you're not doing it for the flavor, right? You're doing it for all these other reasons. But now you get to just do it and also get like good flavor.
I don't know.
It's like a get two birds stoned at It's like a get two birds stoned at once kind of deal.
I am very uncomfortable with the energy that we've created here today.
All right, well, you'll be even more uncomfortable when I get whipped cream this weekend.
Yeah, no, if you walk into this apartment with whipped cream, I am going to be extremely upset. But
you're just going to wake up one morning and there's going to be whipped cream all over your chest.
I'm just not sold. I'm just not sold on the idea. It just doesn't seem like something that for me I just can't, I can't make a hard determination of if it is or if it isn't, because I'm sure some people have had good experiences.
Well, if you do want to sell Seth on the idea of whipped cream in the bedroom, just send him a face shot at SFTWSubmissions.
Please.
No, I'm kidding.
I really don't want to hear anybody. Actually, you know what I do? I want to hear somebody's argument. I want to hear somebody's argument.
Maybe it'll be a dinner debate.
Yeah, of why whipped cream can be considered sexy. Okay, so that's another sensual eating, but I am so excited. I am thrilled. It is that time. We've waited long enough. It's heavyweights week. It is the week of heavyweights.
Buddy!
We told people to watch on Disney Plus. We hope that everybody has watched this movie. This is, we were so excited to do this episode because this is our biggest form of representation in Hollywood.
Yeah, especially since we didn't get a Fat Camp 3.
Right, exactly. Like, it is this, and it's the MTV docs. Like, and it's every other TV show episode that has made fun of Fat Camp. Like, that's kind of what it is. Like, the South Park episode, there's a bit in Family Guy.
Episode.
Yeah, like, this is like the thing that we can point to for people outside who will be like, oh, it's just like that. Well, yes and no. We'll get into that.
It's surprisingly true to form, but also not.
This movie came out in 1995. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
We were
Fuck me running.
Right, like we were just born. Judd Apatow, 20 years old, filming this movie and directing.
Wait, that was a Judd Apatow movie?
It is Judd Apatow's first ever like directorial debut. It's his
Holy
directorial
shit, I
debut.
didn't even know that.
Yep, Judd Apatow at 20 years old with just a cast of kids.
20 years old?
Yeah, 20 years old. And
he probably went to fat camp and was like, holy shit, dude, I got to make a movie about this.
And Judd at this point was just like, yeah, I guess we'll just do it. And somebody gave him the money to do it, which is really all you can ask for as a creator.
I'm 25 and I can't imagine asking somebody for the money to finance a movie.
Right. And so to start off with Heavyweights, it follows Gerald Gardner, fat boy, big boy, thick boy.
If you're just going to call them all big, fat, and thick, we're going to be here all day.
We are going to be here all day. But
we'll get confused.
It follows Gerald, and Gerald is being sent to fat camp for the first time. But like this struck a chord with me, and granted, not personally, but just from so many stories that had been told about kids who are just being introduced to going to camp. This kid comes running home. It's summer vacation, last day of school. He's so juiced up. And then there's a freaking guy right there in a suit just being like, hey, Gerald, why don't you come sit down? Like almost like it's like a messed up version of Kid Dateline, I guess.
Right, like we're taking you to the fat farm.
Right, and then the video comes on, and I'm just, did this ever happen to you? What was your experience of being told you were first going to camp?
Mine is actually going to be really different from most people's because I asked to go.
Okay, so we're both on the same page because we both asked to go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because oddly enough, I asked my parents to go after I watched this movie.
That's funny.
For the first time. I saw it on the Disney Channel. And I was just like, hey, Mom, are there camps like that? And I think she thought I was joking at first. And I was like, no, really. Like, I'm kind of cool with that. Like, I don't want it to be just like that. But but yeah, like, I want it to be that.
It's funny because I had never watched this movie until being at fat camp. So this was not part of my consciousness with that. It was really just that I was like I was like in high school and I was just already kind of like, I should probably lose some weight.
Right.
If I go to a fat camp, then you gotta lose weight. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Cured.
It's foolproof.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
10 years and 100 pounds later.
Yeah, and like,
but now I'm back.
But now you're back. But so the kid he's super apprehensive. And he's just like, I'm not doing it. And then screenshot, he's on an airplane.
And honestly, that is one of the most true to life things because the amount of kids that like their parents would just spring it on them or like even send them to camp and not tell them. And then they get to camp and I guess they get an idea when they get weighed in.
Right. And you know, what's funny is that, and I don't know if this resonates as hard as people who didn't go to camp, when you watch this movie, but the scene on the plane with Gerald and Roy, Kenan Thompson, is to me probably one of the most, if not the most important scenes to truly understand what camp is for us. Is that he rolls up and he's like, you going to fat camp? And the kid's like, how
could you tell?
No. He's like, no, why? And he's like, because you're fat. He's like, is that your dad? No, why? And he's fat too. And then he talks about like, yeah, I'm going to camp. And he's like, camp is the best. You're not the fat kid. Everybody's the fat kid.
Yeah.
And that is the one thing that I think in the first time of getting to camp of realizing like, holy shit, everyone's in the same boat as me.
It's crazy because like you're so used to like your weight being such a big part of your interaction with every other person. When you get to fat camp, suddenly it's just not.
And it's weird. It's surreal. Like you don't understand what it's like at first because you're just like, I don't know what I'm feeling.
And then you realize this is what normal people
right.
feel like
and then
in
you're just like,
real life.
You're like, this is how normal people interact. And we all were let in on some big ass secret. And we were just like, oh, sick. But he gets off. I love the bus scene because we're introduced to Pat. We're introduced to Pat Finley, 18-year veteran of camp. I feel like you and I, like, and I think so many other people at camp, we see ourselves both in Gerald and in Pat.
Oh, of course.
And like maybe for you.
Especially because I was the driver that would bring kids from the airport on the first day.
I'm watching through this movie, just thinking of you driving all these campers around.
Especially because I always wondered, like, why are they sending the fat person to go pick these kids up? Like, wouldn't you want to, like, put your best foot forward?
I never even thought about that. That's even funnier, actually, of you rolling up to Newark Airport to pick up a kid. And this kid's
I'm just in my white staff T-shirt with, like, sauce stains on my shirt. Just like,
sweat.
Hey, guys, let's go eat on the way to camp.
Oh, my God. I can imagine some kid getting off the plane from, like, Portland, Oregon.
Oh, I've been going here for 10 years.
Yeah.
This is, like, great camp. You made a really good choice here.
It's just like, wait, you? Like, you're the guy. And
you should have seen me before.
right, exactly. Yeah, that's what you can always pull over on a kid who's just been there for the first time. You should be like, yeah, you should see the other me. But I like the bus trip, and like Pat like has this whole like they're driving down past the fast food restaurants, and he's like, nope, all right, and then he just whips it right back onto the road. But they pull up to camp, right? And Jerry gets into the bunk and he's meeting all the new guys. And you see a little bit into what it's like being a new kid at camp, where you're just so nervous. You're really nervous. You really don't know what's going to happen. He gets a nickname right off the bat. This is camp.
Not as cool as Strawberry, but
it's not as cool as Strawberry, but this is Camp 101. Having a nickname established in your first couple days, that sends you into the stratosphere of feeling more comfortable. Like, once you have something attached to you, and I feel like you feel that more so than anybody who I've ever met at camp.
I mean, I fucking embraced the hell out of Strawberry.
Right, to the point where I have everyone in my phone as first name, last name, and you're the only person in my phone who doesn't have a first name, last name. It's just Strawberry.
And you want to know the weirdest part about that is there are literally dozens of people who have told me something similar, whether it's I'm in their phone as the strawberry emoji.
Right.
Just the strawberry
just the emoji.
I've gotten straw space berry.
Right.
You know, so there's just a whole ton of different
varieties. I really love that aspect, and then they do the chipmunk download. The chipmunk download, dude. This is something, I think this is probably the number one question that I've always been asked from people on the outside of camp. Of like, did you guys have the download? Like, did you guys
really?
Did you guys all have a plan and bringing in stuff and being in charge of stuff? And I think that's super odd because, like, did I sneak stuff into camp in my own bags? Absolutely. I did.
But was it like a coordinated like plan?
There wasn't much of a coordinated plan. I know like at our old camp, there was some coordination. Like there would be some, but like it never really panned out the way we thought it ever would. Like there was never some full on, like full scale chipmunk download.
I mean, maybe this is just because I only spent one summer as a camper. So by the time I really like got camp.
Right. You were already a staff member.
And I had the freedom to go out. I have a feeling that like, if the me of the last few years knew that he was going to be at camp and couldn't leave, you bet your ass I would have a plan like in writing by February.
Yeah, like it would
so I could get the supplies together.
It would be a full on
June.
Like an action plan.
Yeah, it would be like, okay, step 1, go to CVS after Halloween. Step 2, buy everything that's on sale.
Right, and then keep it on ice so that it'll stay kind of fresh and not melted until the summertime.
Step 3, don't do anything. Wait until Valentine's Day and then buy all the chocolate after Valentine's Day on sale.
Exactly. You're spending $1 on like $40 worth of candy. But the thing with the chipmunk download is that when people would always ask me, it's not like, I'd always be like, well, it's not like we're master woodworkers taking apart the bunk, like creating super secret compartments.
That was a little I guess exaggerated.
In one of the cabins at our summer camp, there was like a false bottom on a thing. It led right to dirt. Like, and so people were like, look at this secret compartment. I'm like, yeah, I guess.
I want to put my sandwich down there.
Yeah, like you're trying to put shit on dirt. Like, you know there's bugs in there, right? Like there is something will find its way there.
Yeah, you're just going to take a bite out of whatever you're going to eat and there's going to be a worm sticking out of it.
But the chipmunk download, there's the one scene where the kid has all the melted chocolate on his stomach, fitting that we've just been talking about eating food off of people. But like there's that one scene where the hand just, one of the campers is like, this is really unsanitary, but he still eats it, which I look at and I go, I get it.
Like, here's the thing.
I get it.
Like, you can look at it and say, like, that is so disgusting. And, like, yes, it's absolutely disgusting. But any fat person will tell you that when it comes to certain foods at certain times, it doesn't, like, it was in the trash.
Right.
Okay. It was on the floor for a while. Yeah, okay.
On somebody's
It was
stomach?
on someone's stomach. I'm not proud of it, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's something that you're like, you know what, this was a different time. Yeah. But the movie starts to transition because you're starting to see like where's it gonna go wrong. You just don't really know where the problem's coming because it's like, well, here's this cool camp, like they've got the blob, like they've got all this.
Which I've never seen a blob before, but I want one.
They've got go-karts, like they've got cool shit, and you're like, okay, well, he's there, he's comfortable. And then the two owners come in a really dark way, just say like all of our money's gone, which is just like really rough for like a kid to just be like, man, that'll never happen to me. And then you become adults and you realize that finances are a thing. and the most important lesson taught in that is never let anyone sign your checks. And then it just completely transitions. The kids are bummed out, and in comes this infomercial head ass Tony Perkis, dude. Played by Ben Stiller in one of his most masterful roles of all time. This dude comes in and he's just the antithesis, the absolute bane of my existence. He is the dark avenue of a person who used to be fat and then completely forgot where he came from.
Oh, yeah. He sold his soul.
Like he says in the opening remarks, like, I used to be 315 pounds. And I was like, amateur. And
actually, that was one more than I weighed. So
right. And so
I'll
like,
give him that one.
But like for him to be like, yes, I was 315 pounds. Like that is an inspiring story. But we know some people, we've seen some people who lose all their weight and then you just become a totally different person. Like you forgot where you came from.
Yeah.
You think you're better than everybody.
Their body is smaller, their head becomes bigger.
Right. And to see that unfold in movie form, you immediately, just as someone who's gone to camp, is just like, oh.
It was also just really funny going to a camp who's like the director of the camp's name was Tony, and then they would throw on this video and we would see the director whose name is Tony.
Right.
Who's the bad guy.
Well, this was always the running rumor. Okay, so it's
that it was based off of him.
Yeah, like there would always be this like folk tale kind of like you know because there's Tony
and then
and then there's a Tony. So don't you get it? And then people would just it would take 2 seconds to Google search and see that this movie came out in 1995. Like
right.
that's it. And camp wasn't around then. And so but it was just one of those like folky kind of tales. But this dude just goes full on. He's trying to sell infomercials.
The first weigh-in is just the funniest thing to me. It's like that's the essence of camp right there. You get like this big kid walks up, steps on the scale, and congratulations, you are the fattest kid at camp, in the way to like put him down.
Right.
And the other kids just start going like,
yeah, woo, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that is a big
hero.
It's a big celebratory moment for all the boys, and you could see the kid like doing like the celebration, like 2 arms clasped. That's like being the biggest boy on camp. It is something, it is something that we all were like, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
No, it was like game respects game.
Right, exactly. Because like we've all kind of been there. And so at least, and that
especially, I mean, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but I always found it very like inspiring because I would, even when I was having a hard day, like when I was a camper, I would look at, one of our other friends who was the largest guy on camp. And I would look at him busting his ass every day working out. And I'd be like, man, if he's able to do this, I can fucking do it.
The kind of camaraderie that was established amongst being big and being around each other, and you all have to see each other's struggles because you're living with each other, that forges a bond that like I think is the reason why our bonds with camp people are unbreakable. Because like we have seen each other struggle with the same kind of shit that we always did. And you start to see that form amongst these kids going through hell. Lunch has been canceled due to lack of hustle. Like,
deal with it.
Deal with it. Like this dude is just going completely off the rails, and they have to play the inter-camp game, dude. They're playing against camp MVP.
That was also very relatable because anytime they had inter-camp games at our camp, it was just kind of like, oh, like good luck.
I'll never forget my first summer at the camp that we met at, right? My first summer there, we go to play a soccer game over at a camp called Camp Lindenmere. Soccer, the game of most run. Like
if you're gonna play a game with a fat camp, you really want to go baseball or football.
Right. You cannot give me soccer, dude. So like, you know what? I joined the team. I went over to play the game. I'll never forget the counselor at the time, Trey, and he goes, look, this is gonna be rough. In the pregame huddle, he's like, I'm gonna be honest, guys.
You're not playing your best out there.
No.
But we haven't started yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
He just straight up goes, this probably isn't gonna go as good as anyone even thinks it could go. Like, it is not going to go well. So all I'm going to tell you is like, you guys are bigger than them. use your weight. And we went out there and we were just throwing ourselves around. Like if someone tried to do fancy feet tricks, we ran that kid over.
Yeah, you just like, we're like, oh, you like your ankles? Sorry about this.
There must have been 873 free kicks given to that other team because we were just, it was all gas, no brakes.
It's like the perfect like bullying situation because it's like you guys walk in, you're like, well, we're not going to win, so we might as well like beat them up and then they'll just keep getting more free shots on us. But like who wins in the end there, really?
And so these kids are having the most miserable time. They're having a miserable time. So then, of course, it goes into classic movie hijinks, like Disney hijinks, of these kids just starting to plot and scheme of like, well, how do we make the best of this?
You're right.
And you start to see like all the candy gets confiscated from Lars the counselor.
That German accent, man.
And what really bugged me and where I think we really identified with this is like when Pat gets the shit end of the stick. Pat the counselor, who's been there forever. When you're a veteran camper or a veteran counselor, like you know the ins and outs, to see that kind of a shakeup and to be taken out of the bunk that you've been in for like 6, 8, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, it's almost like you could get like territorial over like, these are my kids. Like this is my bunk. Like I'm not doing, like I don't want to do that.
And I felt that way with my boys that I was a group leader for 3 straight summers, that I was just like, I can't even imagine starting over. I can't even imagine taking on a whole new set of kids. Like these are my kids.
I did that twice. I had a group of kids for like 3 years, and then I started over with the kids that we both had.
Right.
And then I went with them for a couple of years, and then I started over again, and it took a while to get used to.
It does. And so I definitely felt for Pat there, but then you start to see a turning point. And I think the turning point in the movie is where the kids break into Tony's cabin.
Oh, yeah. Of
course. Like that's one, like to me, that's the turning point because they break into Tony's cabin. They find out, which is like, this is something that just got to me personally as like a young camper, is when Jerry finds the treasure chest full of unmailed letters. And all I could think of was like, if I ever knew, I'm sure it happened. It happened at when I was a young camper where like I'd give a letter to my counselor and my counselor in their 20s is like, yeah, I'll mail this. And then just as a person in their 20s, like,
just forgets
and it like it's in their bag for 7 weeks and something like that. But if I knew willingly that like letters that I was sending home, the very few that I sent were not getting home.
I never sent a letter home.
Yeah, it was huge for me when I was young because I realized like my mom and dad kind of filled me in. They were like, if you write more, you get more stuff sent to you. And I was like, well played, touche. Like I'm going to start writing every week.
Shit, I should have written more.
It was really funny when this is just a kind of a nostalgia thing, but I'll never forget. It was probably my second year of camp, and I get a letter from my grandfather, and it's a check for like $10, and like just because like he didn't really kind of understand like or know, and to me I was just like holy shit, I'm camp rich, like I've got $10, but oh damn it, it's a check, and like
can anybody break this?
My counselors had no idea what to do. They were like, how do we, if it's 10 cash, it's 10 cash. You know what I mean? Like a counselor could hang on to it.
Right.
Like AKA like buy weed with it. But
and
like
then hope you forget.
Yeah. And so they're just like, it's a check. What do we do? And I still don't know. I still really don't remember what happened. Like,
you're also too young to even just like endorse the back of it and be like, hey, can I get a 10 for this? Like,
just let me. I'll sign this over to you. You Venmo me. It hasn't been invented yet.
Do you have the Chase app, mobile deposit?
So like when the letter thing really got to me, and I think that's where it really lit a fire under them, and they start to kind of work in cahoots with Pat and the other counselors and the camp nurse. So they're trying to figure this shit out. They're trying to just kind of be like, how do we save our summer? How do we save our camp? Because for Jerry, it's year 1. Like this is all he knows.
Right.
And then Tony, like it's that second weigh-in. It's always the weigh-ins. And he's like, come on up here, Josh. Cause that was get on the scale, get off the scale. Like immediately. Yeah. Like
how gained 9 pounds.
So then he says the kids have to go on a 20-mile hike. Could you imagine as a camper being told you were going to go on a 20-mile hike?
I can't imagine being told as an adult that I'm going to be going on a 20-mile hike.
Right, like I would have probably just sat on the ground and not moved. Like you would have had to drag me. Mm-hmm. But the kids get through the hike, and the counselors meanwhile are like, just get them through the hike. We'll figure this out. Because they're the adults.
Yeah,
like we'll figure this out.
Trust the adults.
And so the kids go on the hike. And just events start evolving, and a classic camp prank. This is the classic camp prank of, did you know it's impossible to do a sit-up with your eyes closed?
Really?
Like that is, I have seen this prank played out in real time maybe 3-4 times in my growing up at camp.
And does it always work?
It works every single time. There is always some schmuck who is just like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, we got to put this blindfold on you. And then they just go right there, face to cheeks, man, like cheeks on cheeks, just sitting up right into it. And the kids are just running down the hill and they lead him right into the trap. Now, if you are a kid in this situation, right, and you've just trapped your neurotic camp owner in a hole, how are you handling that?
I'm going off into the woods to live my life away from civilization for the rest of mankind because
Yeah.
I'm imagining I'm going to be arrested at some point.
Right, like these kids to
Which,
have,
like, if this wasn't a Disney movie, like, let's be honest, they would have all been so fucked.
right. That's what I always lose in these Disney movies of like, if this actually happened to any normal group of kids, they'd be like, did we just kill this guy?
Like, oh, they just kidnapped this guy and held him in a cage for months.
Yeah, and
but
they're-
hey, you know, we learned a lot of lessons about friendship and being nice to each other, so
can't-
we're good.
I can't sit here and say that I'm any better that if this kind of scenario happened where like a psychotic person, like we led them to a trap and they fell into a hole, that I'm not picking up a boulder and being like, we got to finish the job. Like we have to finish the job.
Leave no witnesses.
Right, exactly. Like you want to talk about loose ends, man. Like this is tying them up. And
Get that Hershey pistol, pop, pop.
right, and I can't imagine what my actual like 8 to 11-year-old self would have really understood, like the stakes of the game. So Jerry has to run back down the hill, and the counselors are just like, Jerry, we think we've got an idea. And he's like, well, we already had one. and they bring him back down, and they've literally created a prison for this guy.
Which, like, honestly, props for the engineering skills that takes, because
Yeah.
I feel like just looking around my apartment, if I were to try to, like, if I wanted to just, like, throw together something to trap you in a prison, I don't know what I would be able to do.
Right.
I don't think I could.
But then
they're
the-
really smart.
The most kind of camp thing, this is where I know this would have happened with us, that like if you had just kind of boxed in your neurotic owner and they were like locked in your own little dungeon prison, they order almost every piece of food imaginable and they just go on a bender. They go on our version of a bender. Some people
Right.
go out and they black out. This is us.
They snack out.
Yeah, we snack out. Ooh, I love that.
Were you about to say, like, large out?
Yeah, I was going to say lard out, but I almost like snack. I love snack out.
Yeah.
Like I snacked out.
It's the snack out.
Yeah, maybe that's good.
I got the munchies and I just snacked out,
Yeah,
dude.
like,
I have no idea.
We don't want to encourage it, but it could be a potential t-shirt. So like they go and they wake up the next morning and Pat's like, we got to figure this out. We got to figure it out, because in the movie, Pat, he says it. He goes, I'm just tired of being the fat guy. And that is something that we have felt literally our entire lives.
Well, that was the big takeaway that I think I had watching this was, you know, it starts off with all these like hijinks of like, you know, oh, like the camp director's a bad guy and now they're kidnapping him and all that stuff. But I think the real like heart of the story is when they can do whatever they want. They can eat whatever they want,
Right.
and they do. And then they snack out, and then they just have this like epiphany moment where they're just like, holy shit, dude, we got to do this for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then they do.
Right.
And they lose all the weight that they put on. While
Right,
they were
exactly, which is kind of-
the camp director. And then the parents come up at the end and they're like, oh, he didn't lose any weight. And the kid's like, I lost some weight. but-
Any time that you have a kid who says never put Twinkies on your pizza, you're really starting 20 points behind. But like that's like, I love the dad. He's like, he hasn't lost a pound.
Just be supportive.
Hey, buddy. Like, hey, and he's like, I'm so happy to see you guys.
I gotta say, I kind of feel like that would be a space of a fat camp that I think would be either the best idea of all time or the worst idea of all time. But basically have a fat camp, have all these fat kids come, but then be like very hands off, like no program. And it's just let these kids binge eat basically until they hit their own version of rock bottom. And then they don't need to be told not to gorge because they've learned it themselves.
yeah.
And I guess at that point, it's just kind of a race down the clock of like, are they going to figure it out before they just, fall
like
down and can't get up?
You want to talk about the most dangerous game, though? That is terrifying. What a terrible social experiment that would be to visual. Like,
But you know what? I think if a kid were to have that epiphany at the end of that summer, they wouldn't gain on weight before the next summer happened.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Like, I think if I was left to that own device, I would be like, I just got to keep powering through as I just shove more chicken fingers into my face.
Yeah.
But I love.
If I eat more, it'll go away.
I also love when they show their parents the video that like that they've cut up of this guy being a psychopath, and then of course like Tony Perkis is defeated. The kids have been taken, like the kids have liberated their own camp. And my favorite part is when Papa Perkis, which is just Ben Stiller in other makeup, and he's like, Judd couldn't afford another actor.
No, and he was going full Jack and Jill.
And he's like, I'll leave the camp. I just got to put an adult for insurance. And everyone's like, I've been here for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And Pat's like,
I've been here for 18 years.
18 years. And it's clear Pat's the one who should be running camp. And they finish off the movie with the Apache relay against camp MVP. And the race goes, and you just see the improvements these kids have made. You see the belief that they have in each other. And then Jerry goes and wins the go-kart race, which I don't like. We never
go-kart race for Apache, dude.
Like, right, I know that's
not
our style. It
almost surprises me that they let us watch that movie at camp, and because like I feel like the natural thought when you're at a summer camp and then you watch that movie is like, why don't we have a blob?
Yeah,
why don't we have go-karts?
Right, and which is so funny for us who came over from our old camp to the camp that we met at, where we had go-karts. Like. We didn't.
Oh, you lucky bastards!
Yeah, and like
you also had like you tell me like such cool like stories about like they had like fairs and like carnivals.
We had the carnival, man. In the carnival, you would always get one snow cone, but they would always just write a black X on your wrist, and then we would take the snow cone, and then we'd all run back and just immediately try and scrub off the black X and go to get another snow cone to see how many times you could do it. And that's kind of like that's our real version of heavyweights. It's the little hijinks. It's the little ins and outs of trying to game the system.
Oh yeah,
that
like
fuel.
It's like the classic. You know, you go up for snack and then like you reach your hands, but you don't.
But you don't show your face
contact with the person handing out snack. So you just like turn around, and then once the mob clears out a little bit, you come up and you're like, I didn't get snack yet.
Yeah,
and they're like, yeah, you did. And you're just like, no, I didn't. And then like the counselor's like, well.
What are you gonna do? Yeah,
you like
can't,
here, have a second apple. Like,
unless you explicitly saw them, you can't blast them for it. And that kid walks away being like, haha, just another day at the office.
Yeah.
But the entire idea of heavyweights, the fact that this movie was even made, like, because the only other representation that came after it was MTV's Fat Camp. Like, I almost wish, like, I know that the age of the reboot is so played out. I get that. But I do like the idea of rebooting heavyweights for like 2020 society.
All right, real quick, just a couple spitballing some ideas. So like every reboot we have, you got to have like the original cast, but now the campers are the adults.
Absolutely.
Right? They're the counselors.
100%.
Obviously, it can't just be a movie because who watches fucking movies anymore? It's got to be like
it's got to be an 8-episode mini doc.
Well,
or like
it's an 8-episode Netflix series that they renew for 2 seasons before it starts airing, and then once people start liking it, they go, "No, I'm sorry, we're canceling this because we're Netflix and we fucking suck."
And they're like, "Oh, are you having fun? Oh, we're gonna hit the bid right button on this one." But it was so funny rewatching this movie because we used to watch it so often at camp. Like you want to talk about bringing back memories, just like MTV's Fat Camp did. Like that movie just brings me life. Like especially after having such a tough week, like to be able to like watch heavyweights and be like, yes, like this is my movie Bible. Like just the entire overall atmosphere of that, and the very end where he's like, "Thanks for the best damn summer of my life." That's exactly how I felt leaving camp after my first summer. Was like, I cannot imagine going through any other kind of summer normally. And then lo and behold, like 14 plus summers. Yeah, exactly.
Somehow you figured it out.
But that's a wrap. That's a wrap on Heavyweights Week. I'm interested to see what people's favorite parts of the movie or what things stuck out to them the most. Like, I really kind of want to hear those. We'll do a follow-up with this for people who submit.
People have like questions.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. But just a little switch up. We're going to go into closing thoughts because I think we both felt it was important to give Heavyweights its long uncut due because this is the kind of movie that, like, if I was to ever have children, I would show them this movie as soon as they had cognitive like recognition. Like
it's funny because it kind of I feel a little empty now. Because we started with the MTV's Fat Camp and then the return to Fat Camp, and like we knew when we had started that like, hey, we're gonna do an episode about this and that. And you're right, like that's it. Are we gonna do a fucking episode about the South Park thing, or are we just done talking about movies about Fat Camp?
I honestly think that it's up to us.
Yeah,
it's up to us to create our own visual representation.
I mean, if Judd Apatow could do it at 20, why can't we?
If anybody can get in contact with Judd,
if you're listening, which I know you are, loyal listener, Judd,
Seth and Strawberry here, Judd, if you have a minute, please just get in a room with us, socially distant, and let's just talk it out.
Yeah, come on, J-Dog.
We can figure this out. So, Judd, please, SFTWSubmissions at gmail.com, or get in touch with our people, and those people are us.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're going to go into closing thoughts, and you know, it's funny because like I could go on forever.
I feel like we both have such radically different weeks that
I
our
know.
closing thoughts are just going to be so different.
I
Which
think
is
that's good. I think that's good. So I want to finish with the good news. So if you'll indulge me.
Okay.
I'm almost grateful in this weird sadistic way. Like right now, like this made me feel so much better recording. Like I do feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Oddly enough, maybe it's 2 pounds worth, but you know, but
I don't know. You want to step on the scale?
Yeah,
after
right
out?
after this. But honestly, I don't feel great. I don't, and I can't. Like it was funny when we were getting into the space of recording, right? Or I was like, well, this was a weird thing to kind of encounter.
This was like the first time I think that we've sat down to record
and we both haven't been feeling like super freaking jazzed, and happy. You know what I mean? Like, and I said to myself, I was
seasonal
like,
affective disorder.
But I seriously was like, you can't lie. Like, you can't not say that you're feeling like you can't sit here and say that you're feeling great if you're not.
Right.
Because we love to have a good time. We love to laugh it up, and I'm glad we did. I feel better, but I can't sit here and say that it's all been going great.
Well, and I think it's important because, you know, you went with such a run there because of the way that your program was structured, you know, and I think
there was very little bad news along the way.
And I feel like this is a wall that you had to hit eventually. And because like at some point in the rest of your life, you will have gained.
You will have encountered life.
Yeah. Like it will happen. You know, and it seems like it's at a time where, you know, you're not totally done with your program, but you're basically like, you're in the space where you're ready to start figuring out how to transitioning to real life, which includes the bumps.
Right. Exactly. And I think now that and especially now that we've talked it through, like you can just realize that like it was 1 week. It doesn't diminish anything, and it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a failure to understand that it's a weight loss journey. And that's what I hope that everybody out there who has a bad week, whether it's with weight or not, anyone who just has a bad week in general, it's 1 week. Mm-hmm. It's 1 week. It's 1 day. It's just on to the next one. You wake up tomorrow and you're fired up, ready to go. What are your closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thoughts are really just like, I wrote down, don't let celebration turn to complacency.
Hello. Love that.
Because, you know, this 100 milestone, I feel like a different Strawberry in a different time would have gotten to like 100 pounds and would have been like, good. Now I can go back to doing what I was doing before.
Yeah, exactly.
I can finally let myself.
The race is over.
This asshole. And then suddenly, like a month from now, I'd be like, why did I gain 20 pounds?
Man, why are we
really
back to
weird.
75?
Like, this is, maybe I should do something different. But like, you know, just because I've hit here, you know, I'm like, it's a huge milestone, but I'm still not quite at my goal.
Right.
I don't think that I necessarily know if you were to ask what is my goal as far as weight goes. I don't really know that I'm even really going to judge it from the scale. I mean, not going to lie, having been, you know, so long in my 300s, getting down into the 100s would be kind of nice. But like, I don't really care at this point.
You're just kind of bobbing and weaving now.
Yeah.
Like you're in a comfortable lane, and you're just kind of, you're finding consistency and sustainability.
Yeah, I do have to start with the gym. That's really like the big thing. I need to start with the gym, and like I need to hydrate myself a lot more because that's definitely been taking a backseat.
Yeah.
But like there are always these other things. I feel like now I can put the weight loss chapter of this kind of behind me.
Right. Or at least not leading the pack and more focused on the all around.
Right. I do really want to focus more on my like hydrating, because I think I had 6 ounces of water today.
Yeah, you got to up that. You got to get that H2O in you.
Yeah. And then, you know, like I said, going to the gym, getting better sleep, you know, those are the kinds of things that I kind of want to start transitioning my focus to now.
Yeah, and those are a good focus. And you know what? It's going to be a great week.
It is.
We're going to make it a great week. You know what? And folks, we hope you make it a great week. Thank you for listening to another episode of Sorry for the Wait. We cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. We're within earshot of 5,000 unique listeners.
Man.
Like, we're within striking distance of 5,000.
It blows my mind that there are
listeners.
5,000 people that want to listen to me
5,000
talk every day.
people that want to listen to us. So, folks, we appreciate every single one of you. If you want to get in touch with us, please send us an email at SFTWSubmissions@gmail.com.
And follow us on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Is that it? I mean, we have one, but like, who knows if it's even going to be there in a couple weeks. But you know what? We'll figure that out. We'll get back to you on that. You know, go search us on TikTok. Go search us on the talk. But also, after you're done searching us on TikTok, leave us a voicemail. 774-855-9433.
And be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
Help us take over the world. I think we're up to 156 now.
You know, we keep saying we're going to take over the world, and one day we just might.
One day we might.
People aren't ready for it.
Some Pinky in the Brain head-ass shit, you know? I love that. But you know what? I mean, we're going to take over the world one day. But until next time, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And remember, folks, keep your friends close. Keep your enemies closer. But keep those snacks the closest.